Now, if you don't think they're lying, then we come down to one more possible option. It was a UFO. Now, I know that a UFO hardly seems like the most simple explanation of what happened, but this is where I ask you to look at the actual data and science that exists before you make that claim. It is a fact that in our entire Milky Way galaxy, there are more than 3,200 stars with planets orbiting them. And that's just how many of them we've found at this point. According to NASA, our sun is just one of 200 billion, billion with a B, stars in our galaxy. So some of those stars could also have planets orbiting them that we just aren't aware of yet. Are you really ready to freak out? There are 125 billion galaxies in the observable universe. Bro, come on. Like, just do the math on that one. Like, there's definitely aliens. And I don't say do the math to sound arrogant. I actually say it because there is real math that points to an incredible likelihood that extraterrestrial life exists. Enter the Drake equation. It is explained in Scientific American the following way. Quote, the Drake equation, which the astronomer introduced in 1961, calculates the number of civilizations in our galaxy that can transmit or receive interstellar messages via radio waves. It relies on multiplying a number of factors, each of which quantifies some aspect of our knowledge about our galaxy, planets, life, and intelligence. Those factors include the fraction of stars with extrasolar planets, the number of habitable planets in an extrasolar system, the fraction of habitable planets on which life emerges, and so on. Now, look, the Drake equation itself is often scrutinized partly because we haven't observed alien life yet that we know of. But I think the concept of the Drake equation is important, especially combined with the data of just how many stars there are in the universe. We just talked about all the galaxies, all the stars, all the possible planets that could be inhabited. There's a hell of a good chance that there are aliens. And also, keep in mind that according to CBS News, when it comes to this particular American Airlines flight, they said, quote, the Federal Aviation Administration said air traffic controllers didn't see any object in the area of their radar scopes. It's pretty creepy, right? So I bring the discussion back to Occam's razor to give you a thought to consider. If there were aliens and we knew that they existed, then they would be an incredibly simple answer. I mean, the people who already believe in aliens chalk this up to an encounter with a spacecraft because they literally view that as the simplest explanation. Well, guess what, you guys? You can go ahead and put me in that category right there with them. In my mind, it's aliens who flew a little too close to a plane that they weren't supposed to fly right next to. And this is interesting because it doesn't show up on radar and the pilots saw it, but it's like this quick blurb. And you hear about these stories a lot. And it reminds me of this theory that my brother has that I think is fantastic. Basically, what he says is the aliens that we've observed, or the UFOs that we've observed, rather, those could just be the aliens that either haven't figured out how to cloak yet, or they're just choosing not to. And I think that is fascinating because that makes a ton of sense. Like, we're either not exactly dealing with the varsity team and they haven't really figured it out yet, or it's kind of clunky, or they're just choosing not to for whatever reason. I mean, maybe that's a prank to them. I mean, it's phenomenal if it is. They're like, let's see if they freak out, and they shows and then they fly off. That's amazing. But I think that's an interesting thought to think about. But here's the thing. I'm once again, as I've said many times before, I'm not an expert. Like, don't take what I say too seriously. I'm just a guy on the internet reacting to a story that I learned about the other day. I'm just here to entertain you guys and maybe teach you a little bit of stuff that I learned about recently that I think is cool. But if you don't believe in aliens, it's all good. Like, I might try to convince you still that they exist, but like, I get it. They seem incredibly unlikely to some people, and I understand that. It's all good. I'm hoping maybe I changed a few minds in this episode, but I understand that.